Well, howdy, y'all. Call me Reverend. Or don't, if you don't want to, I guess. Like, your body, your choice. But I think it's a really fun word to say. It's definitely a really fun word to type, because you can just totally type it with, like, your left hand. So, if you ever need to tell someone on the internet how much I suck while you're, like, eating a sandwich, you can just fucking go for it, because it's really easy. This team is a team that I had my doubts about, as I'm sure you could understand, but it's definitely grown very near and dear to my heart after our adventures on the ladder together. It was constructed by my homie Tim, noted best Sheik in the cave, who asked me if he made a team of 6 Pokemon with nicknames, if I would use it on the ladder. I was like, okay. And he doesn't play this game, so he just picked like 6 Pokemon from the Pokédex that he thought looked cool. He didn't pick any Uber Legendaries, which was really good, which meant that I got to use it in OU. I'd posted like a replay in the Something Awful Pokemon thread, and some dude was like, well, Haxorus, Pinsir, and Terrakion follow a certain visual theme, so it makes sense. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I went back and I watched, I observed the team in its natural habitat, and I realized, holy shit, Tim just really fucking likes Pokemon that have antlers. So I think that little peek into his, like, psychology is what's really going to let me start beating his Sheik. I'm going to be using the Karen avatar because, of course, strong Pokemon, weak Pokemon. There's no such thing, really. There's only 2 kinds of Pokemon. There are Pokemon that go in, Pokemon that don't go in. This squad goes the fuck in. This squad goes in harder than any squad I've ever used. And I was looking at this dude's team. He's got an Azelf, and I was like, okay, I am about to metagame the fuck out of this guy. I can't lead with Terrakion because all he's going to do is taunt me and set up Stealth Rocks, and this team, like, absolutely cannot afford to have Stealth Rocks set up on it, so I lead with Man with Hats instead, and this is like a definitive 3 a.m. What the fuck does this Pokemon do moment, except it's me doing it to somebody else instead of it happening to me, which is a really good feeling, because I go ahead and get to Volt Switch off of his Azelf while he taunts me. Because I don't know what the fuck he was expecting. He didn't even know what he was expecting. He just had to make sure that he taunted this Probopass before something dumb happens. But something even dumber happens. I go ahead and snipe his Azelf with a Choice Scarf Moonblast from Bedtime Maiden, which is exceptional because I can go ahead and bring in Milf Pounder on his Altaria here and go ahead and set up my Stealth Rocks, which are going to be really useful because this squad pretty much auto loses to Talonflame and this guy doesn't have any hazard removal. And also it meant that if his Breloom had a Focus Sash, I could go ahead and break it because that would have been super problematic otherwise, and I can go ahead and catch the Altaria with a Moonblast because it's only at +1 at this point. I knew that that was going to just like make me get forced out by the Gengar, but I also knew that Farquaad could survive 1 hit, and then the Custap Berry lets me go ahead and kill it with a Destiny Bond, because, once again, guaranteed, he didn't know what the fuck moves Vespiquen learns. I also didn't know, like, what the fuck Custap Berry did until about 15 minutes ago, because I kept getting caught by Aqua Jets from Azumarils that would kill me before the Custap Berry worked, and I was like, okay, what the fuck is going on? I read the Bulbapedia page, it doesn't tell you shit. I looked it up on Pokemon Showdown. Pokemon Showdown tells you better in 1 sentence than Bulbapedia does in an entire page what the fuck Custap Berry does. It doesn't give you +1 priority, which is what I thought it does. It makes you go first in your priority bracket, which makes no fucking sense, but I do know that now. And this dude knows what it's like to get fucking destroyed by a Haxorus, apparently, because it goes ahead and then cleans up most of the rest of his team. I knew that Bedtime Maiden was going to get rocked by that Brave Bird, but I just wanted to make sure that the Talonflame's HP was low enough to where a Feint could, like, guaranteed kill it. I felt kind of bad because after that dude's Talonflame was still alive, after it killed my Gardevoir, he said GG. But, like, he wasn't ready for the Feint. No one's ever ready for the Feint. Everyone always, like, questions it, but that's way better than Quick Attack. Like, I can only assume that people that actually use Mega Pinsir use Feint instead of Quick Attack, but the problem is just that no one uses Mega Pinsir anymore, so no one on the ladder knows what to expect from it. But I mean, Tim uses Mega Pinsir, so there you go. He'll be the shepherd that ushers Mega Pinsir back into the OU spotlight. So my Pokemon conspiracy theory is that whoever was in charge of making Probopass's animation just didn't do it, because that's clearly not finished. It's clearly missing a bunch of frames, but he was just like, oh shit, the game ships in a week, no one's gonna notice anyway because no one is going to use those trash Pokemon. Well, guess what, motherfucker? I noticed. And this dude over here is using, like, the most OU team I've ever seen. So, guaranteed, he looked at my squad and he was like, whoa, this motherfucker is definitely here to have fun. Well, guess what? It's all a ruse. I have just as little fun as you do. I thought that he was going to lead with his Garchomp, and I lead with Milf Pounder, hoping that I could, like, get the old Taunt Stealth Rock Gambit, but he does lead with his Manectric. He gets scared and switches out. I wanted to trace the Lightning Rod and then eat a Volt Switch with Bedtime Maiden, and the fact that he switches out means that, like, he knows I'm going to do that later, which is really disappointing, because that would have been a really good "you've activated my trap card" moment if I just switched that in later, because, like, guaranteed he wouldn't be expecting that. I go into my discount Magnezone right here with Man with Hats. Go ahead and, like, taunt the Skarmory and then try to Thunder Wave it, but I get flinched this turn. Shoutouts to, like, the 2 flinches in 3 turns. And then, at this point, now that it's paralyzed, I have to start the Flash Cannon Assault, because I have Volt Switch, but it's going to do absolutely fucking nothing to the Skarmory, so I need to just keep, like, weakening it with Flash Cannons until, like, whatever I bring in on the last Volt Switch can actually do something to it. Because this team actually has hella problems with Skarmory, I've figured out. So I go ahead and Volt Switch on this turn out into Milf Pounder, which actually worked out really well because he's still taunted on the turn I come in, so he can't set up another layer of spikes. And I can just go ahead and take it out with a close combat. Can't set up Stealth Rocks, but it's not going to be, like, particularly useful against this dude's team. Go ahead and taunt the Azumarill. That was because I was really, really scared of it setting up a Belly Drum, and if it was going to go for an Aqua Jet, then it didn't really matter what I did anyway. He does go for a Play Rough, which means he gets absolutely fucking Chastity Belted by Farquaad, and then I can go ahead and take it out with a Destiny Bond. I was so fucking proud of myself for coming up with this Vespiquen set, this, like, dumbass offensive support Vespiquen, because, like, everyone, when they see a Vespiquen, if they know what it does at all, they're like, oh, defend order, heal order. But that is fucking garbage, because it's like, Vespiquen is not bulky at all. I guarantee you, it is way fucking less bulky than you think it is, and it has, like, no resistances, and it's weak to everything. So when I actually pieced together this dumbass set from, like, whatever scraps of its move pool I could find, it was like I had seen into the fucking Matrix. And then, once again, Denise is gonna go on, like, the mid-late game rampage and just kill, like, 3 Pokemon in a row. I'd go ahead and switch out into Bedtime Maiden here because, like, I wanted to get the sweep going with Bedtime Maiden because if I had gotten the special attack boost, then I could have killed the 2 Pokemon he had left with a Moonblast, but he does know, and he just goes for a Hidden Power on the switch, and then a Flamethrower, which aren't going to kill me, and this isn't going to kill the Hoopa Unbound, so I go ahead and let Denise die, which is kind of a tragedy, but I didn't want to risk that being Choice Scarf Hoopa and losing the speed tie, because if it did, then I would have gotten killed by the Manectric, because I wouldn't have been able to kill it with movies with Nick Cage, but at this point, he can't switch his Manectric in and take 2 feints, so he has to let the Hoopa die. He takes a feint here, kills me with a Thunderbolt, but it doesn't matter because Choice Scarf, Bedtime Maiden is going to go ahead and bring us home with a Moonblast after tracing the Intimidate. That was fucking crucial, clearly. I had to spook the dog before I killed it with the Moonblast. Killing a wolf with the moon. Damn, I just realized the like, poetic significance of that. So, just like BT dubs, Choice Scarf regular Gardevoir is really fucking good. It ended up being the MVP, like, way more often than I thought it would, which granted was like 0 times, so it being good at all was going to, like, defy my expectations. It is really fucking good. Trace is a really cool ability. Like, if you trace Sand Rush from Excadrill and kill it with a Focus Blast, oh, such a montage moment. You can trace, like, Swift Swim from Kingdra, kill it with a Moonblast, it's great. Trace Intimidates, trace Lightning Rods, like what didn't happen this battle, but it still sort of worked because it scared him out of using electric moves, which is still really fucking good because a mini couldn't kill me. Choice Scarf Gardevoir, Reverend seal of approval, absolutely. Also, I was somehow able to capture in replay the 2 times in history that a Vespiquen has been able to do something cool, so bring it in, fam. We made the dream come true. Vespiquen 2016.